Well, hello there. Doug Hooley here with a just kind of a quick word today about something that I believe that the generation who is living just before the return of Jesus may see, right prior to before he comes. And this has to do with the first couple of seals of the scroll that's mentioned in chapter 6 of the book of Revelation. Once that Jesus, who is depicted as a lamb, looses those seals. Let me read to you what chapter 6 verses 1 and 2 says about that seal, the first seal. Now I watched when the Lamb opened one of the seven seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say with a voice like thunder, "Come." And I looked and beheld a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer. So I believe the rider of this horse represents a false Messiah. It's not the real Messiah, Jesus, who's seen later riding a different white horse at the end of the book of Revelation. It's a false Messiah, the Antichrist. And this person is given great authority, and he's given access to great military might. The authority is depicted by a crown. The military might is depicted by a bow. Now, with this military might and authority, once this seal has been opened by Jesus and the white horse is authorized to ride out, we would expect to see that this dynamic character is acting differently than any other world leader is going to be acting at the time. This is something special. So that's the first thing we need to get is this isn't just another day on planet Earth. This is the day that the white horse rider rides out, who embodies the Antichrist, the false Messiah, who's got great military might and a lot of authority behind him. And what he's going to do is he's going to be taking a lot of time, major steps to convincing the world to bring about desired change. He's going to be someone who is gifted at convincing people to do things his way through diplomacy. He's going to make some great deals. Now, someone who will use his authority and threat of military strength to greatly influence other nations. So that's who we're looking for when the white seal is opened up. He may or may not use his military strength. He may use it on a limited basis. He may go all out with it because he will have it at his disposal. Now, this may take place at the same time that we see the beginnings of what I call the Antichrist Wars, which are depicted at the end of Daniel chapter 11, starting at about verse 36 till the end of that chapter. And we see that person who is the Antichrist that will come at the end of the age prior to Jesus' return, taking some different actions. One of the first things he's going to do is contend with the king of the south. Now, the south, the reference point for the south is Israel. So any country to the south of Israel that could affect Israel's well-being and happiness. Because I believe that the Antichrist is going to be there in his role as the false Messiah of Israel, somebody that they really look for like a type of Messiah, not necessarily like what we would typically as Christians think that Jesus will be, but more like what King Cyrus was, who was in fact an anointed one, who did God's will on God's behalf, who released the people of Israel to go back to Jerusalem from Babylon. He was considered, and still to this day viewed by most Jews, as a type of Messiah. So this is going to be somebody like that at first, and then he's going to end up being more like an Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, who's just a real mean guy by the end of his reign as the Antichrist. But he's going to start off a more benevolent type of Antichrist, a Messiah figure, and then he's going to turn about halfway through the 70th week of Daniel and become a very nasty individual, persecuting Jews and Christians. But it's at the beginning of the 70th week of Daniel or thereabouts, maybe a little before, don't know for sure, that he's going to start engaging in these military movements that are recorded in Daniel chapter 11 towards the end of the book. One of the first things he does is he goes after the king of the south. I already said it's going to be somebody to the south of the nation of Israel. It could be a North African nation, Libya, Egypt, the Sudan, all three. It could be somebody on the Saudi Arabian peninsula, like Oman or Yemen, who's been shooting at our ships for months now with their missiles, and who we have a fleet in the Red Sea right now there to protect the ships from the Houthis in Yemen firing missiles at them. They said that they would stop shooting at the ships out in the Red Sea. That I might have said Mediterranean before I meant the Red Sea. However, they have not stopped shooting at Israel. So there is still some dealing with Yemen. Not to say that any of what's going on now has to do with the end of the age, okay? These are things that the Bible says will occur prior to Jesus' return. So somebody like Yemen, anyway, could be a king of the south. The Antichrist, the king of the north, is what he's called in Daniel, is going to have his forces deal with the king of the south, and he's going to do so pretty swiftly and effectively, and he's going to use a large amount of ships in order to do so. So by the end of all of that, Egypt will be involved, as will Libya and the Sudan, and the Antichrist will put all of them down and essentially make followers out of them. If you read through those scriptures in Daniel, that's what you'll see. Now, somewhere along the lines in all of that, he gets concerned with activities from a concern from the north and the east of where he's at, the north and the east of Israel. So once that happens, it's quite possible that the timing could be the same, that the next seal, the second seal in the book of Revelation, is open, which has to do with a lot of war and a mega weapon being used. Let me read that to you. This is chapter 6, verses 3 to 4. That's my dog Cap, if you heard that, short for captain. When he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature say, "Come." And out came another horse, bright red. Its rider was permitted to take peace from the earth so that men should slay one another. And he was given a great sword, a megas sword, a big weapon. Literally means a big weapon. Doesn't have to be a big clunky claymore sword like they had in Scotland. So this probably has something to do with more of an open war. Like now, before it was some wars here and there, skirmishes, uses of force, military force. Now this is open war where a mega weapon is either used or it's threatened to be used. It doesn't say if the Antichrist uses it, like preemptively, or if an opposing nation uses this mega weapon, or if it's used at all. But there is a mega weapon that's given to the rider of the red horse, who is authorized by Jesus now, by the loosing of the seal, to go and make war, to cause war to be made between men. So if it's a nuke, like if this had to do with today, I can't think of a better example of a mega weapon than a nuclear weapon. And there's other weapons, but that would be the one that would first come to mind. So let's say if it happened today, but I'm not saying that it is, there are several nations to the north of Israel, like Russia and China. I think Turkey has a nuke. North Korea has one. The nation of Iran is working on enriching their uranium to the point where they can have a nuclear weapon. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Iran over and over again has pledged themselves to the destruction of Israel. I think that is something that's very significant. And again, they do in fact sit to the north and the east of Israel. And as of today, the U.S. State Department is telling its non-essential personnel, like family and people that don't have to be in the countries surrounding Iran to leave, to go home, to get someplace safe. They've also limited their staff within Israel on where they can travel right now. Now, why are they doing this? Because the U.S. has been in talks with Iran over their whole nuclear situation. They say, you're not going to be able to enrich uranium in your country. And Israel is seems to be poised and ready to make preemptive strikes on Iran so that they can't have a nuclear weapon. All of that is very interesting in light of this prophecy regarding a potential mega weapon and wars breaking out after this dynamic person comes on the scene who is attempting to make deals between all of these different nations. Very significant. Now, I am not saying that either the first or the second seal on the scroll in the book of Revelation have been loosed by Jesus and that we have seen the first seal opened and playing out before us, nor am I saying that the red seal, the red horse rider with his mega weapon after the loosing of the second seal, is poised and ready to ride out. What I am saying is that I am encouraging you to study those related scriptures, Daniel chapter 11, verses 36 till the end of the chapter, and continue reading on into chapter 12 if you want, and the opening of the seals in the book of Revelation, chapter 6, the first two seals. I think, those are the first things you're going to see in sequence. So anyway, that is all that I have to say about that for now. So until next time, God bless you. Shalom and Maranatha.